Hey, everybody, welcome. Excited to welcome Trevon Birch. How you doing today, Trevon?
Doing good, man. How about you?
Doing well, doing well. Um, so, for the folks who don't know, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and what you're working on.
Yeah. So as Manny said, my name is Trevon. Actively building a startup ecosystem based around haptic alerting via wearable device. In the Covington, Kentucky area, a lot of people might be familiar with Cincinnati. So I like to say around Cincinnati, a little bit south of that. But yeah, man, building a startup named Safewave Technology, and essentially it's a network of um, customizable vibrations that sit on the user's wrist that responds things like fire alarms, baby monitors, targeting those who are deaf and hard of hearing. So giving people who are, in the deaf community, an alternate form of alerting, smart haptic alerting versus typical visual and audio alerts.
Got it. How long have you been working on Safewave?
Yeah, man. We started building Safewave in 2019 out of our basement. So I got three other co-founders. All of us just, we kind of came together, been building it from scratch, literally from the basement to market, right? Bootstrapping it. So about 6 years now.
So, what did becoming the CEO force you to unlearn?
Well, right now I'm actively learning delegation, right? So I'm learning how to kind of take a step back with my hand on everything and, you know, trusting the team, which I fully do now, right? Trusting them to kind of lead their way and, make that proper decision. But I think the biggest thing that I was learning, during this whole process is just it's the consistency of things. So nothing's going to happen overnight. Big contracts can be exciting at the time, and if you don't get them, it's not the break of what you're building, right? So I think one of the best things that kept us going during this whole time is just it's the consistency, and then just I think the competitive edge to win, right?
Yeah, I love that. So, Safeway started in accessibility but evolved into a broader platform. When did you recognize that you were building an open network and not just a wearable device?
Yeah, really, in the idea phase, I woke up, I built Safewave after being woken up to a fire alarm, right? So at first we were building this wearable device just to alert you for fire alarms. But then quickly realized, after walking into like, my great, throw a lot of greats in front of it, aunt's house, she lived in a condo that, just because she isn't quote unquote deaf or hard of hearing doesn't mean that she isn't as aware of her surroundings, right? So essentially, we figured that hey, outside of just the fire alarm, what if we allowed it to connect to a camera so that if somebody comes to my aunt's front door, she knows through vibration haptics, right? And from there, we just explored. Well, what if we just connect to any and everything smart? So that's what we did. So we essentially built it. It connects to any and every mobile application, essentially turning things like I said, baby monitors, doorbells, fire alarms, glucose monitoring, right? Into custom vibration on the wrist. But as far as like building out a B2B side, B2B portal, I don't want to say we were forced into it because we understood that what we were building in the beginning was eventually going to branch outside of the home and be in society. And everything that we've launched, so we've launched in a couple of hospitals, we've launched in a manufacturing facility. All of those have been incoming leads, so we actually didn't have to go out and chase these. They came to us. So that was kind of a testament of what we were building. It wasn't us that said, "Hey, we're building this, B2B platform product." It was the B2B, people coming to us and saying, "Hey, we need this," and then us obviously custom building around their wants and needs.
Love that. That's listening to your customers first and developing that solution around for anyone listening. That's the most important thing. What's the hardest technical challenge in turning vibration into reliable language?
Um, Honestly, I think there could have been a harder way if we would have went. It sounds crazy, but I feel like the hardest part of it all obviously was like Bluetooth, learning Bluetooth. That's a whole different beast. So learning, you know, when you build a wearable device, little things that you don't consider is like a lot of people see, the Safeway band is whenever turn it off, it disconnects, right? But learning through Bluetooth that there's like four forms of disconnections, whether that's, I could turn the band off, that's a disconnect. The band dies, that's a disconnection. You walk away too far, that's a disconnection. And then on the opposite side of disconnection, you got reconnections, right? So it's like I just turned the band on, reconnection. I get back in range, reconnection. So I think one of the hardest things of building this was just like learning all the different steps or all the unique cases and then building it to make it consistent throughout. Um, when it came to haptic, I believe you asked the question too about haptics, right? Like when it comes to vibration communication in these spaces, we're not turning vibration into like a language, right? What we're doing is we're allowing users to essentially streamline the most important things to them. So when I was mentioning like us being in a hospital, our product doesn't like tell them what's going on necessarily, but it alerts them through a custom vibration. So it could be like, 4 or 5 pulses or whatever, right? And they might have set in their settings, bedside alerting, right? So now I know that if my Safeway band vibrates 5 times, there's a patient that needs bedside assistance, versus my cell phone that was getting the notification previously, right? So where we kind of stepped in the hospital situation was, these nurses are relying on their cell phones to give them important information. A bedside alert feels exactly like an email. It feels exactly like a text message, even though a bedside alert's more important than emails and text messages. So where we kind of found our niche was really getting in there, figuring out, where these places, what notifications matter the most to them, not just for patient, but also liability, right? And then we're able to dive in and show, hey, the Safeway band's going to give, your employees a clear, direct way to be notified whenever one of the most important things are going on, whether that's safety, whether that's patient, whatever it may be. So, yeah, that's
Mm.
kind of where we found our, I guess, niche, if you may call it, is just, really directing the notifications that matter the most, or notifications that could end up, being something detrimental, right? Specifically to
Yeah,
the risk of the employee.
that's cool. So you're working, in hospitals. You mentioned a lot of different facilities. What's the best way for folks to contact you, learn more about Safewave?
Yeah, I mean, you can always reach out to me directly through email, right? Just my name, Trevon, at safewavetech.com. Majority of, like I said, all of our B2B have all been incoming. They've all just came through our website, so www.safewavetech.com. And they typically just fill out a form, and then, of course, we get on our end and we're able to reach out and, jump on, kind of do that discovery call, that type of thing.
Got it. And what would you say are the use cases, that if for folks listening in, if they have certain issues, what are some of these problems that Safewave solves?
Yeah, so I mean, outside of obviously, us, thinking of it as far as a fire alarm goes off, something as simple as bringing peace of mind. So we got single ladies who have their own apartment that are deaf. When they shower, they always have this fear in the back of their mind that what if somebody comes in that house, whether it's maintenance, whether it's an intruder, whatever. So I love that we're able to give some confidence to some of these women who are living alone, but a lot of our bulk users really are deaf mothers. And before
Mm.
we started this, you don't think how does a deaf mother hear a baby cry? So being able to turn a cry into a vibration in real time has kind of grew that customer base. But of course, alarm clocks. A lot of people use them for alarm clocks. And then we always have those like one-off cases. So I mentioned glucose monitoring earlier. We have a parent whose child, has monitors the blood sugar at night using the Dexcom. Whenever the blood sugar drops, the mom needs to go in and give the child either a juice or some form of sugar to bring those levels back up. So she basically streamlined, all the Dexcom alerts right to the wristband versus her sleeping with her phone either in her pocket or under her pillow, right? So we were able to kind of give this mother, a way to monitor her child's blood sugar while both were sleeping, right? So I think that was kind of one of the, more interesting use cases. I mean, we've had people set up cameras in their living room, and they might have a child with special needs, and they'll kind of aim the camera at the door. So whenever this child exits the room, it'll send a notification to the wristband, letting the parent know, hey, so and so has left the room. You might want to go out and make sure they aren't roaming or running out the front door, right? So yeah, it's
Yeah,
just been what I really love about it. Ultimately, man, is all the use cases. Us building it to be open network. Um, It allowed an endless possibility of use cases. It allowed customers to get creative. All we do is we provide a tool, and people already know the problems they have, and they're looking for the solution. Our goal is to just make sure that the solution fits into their problem, right? So, yeah, man, it's super interesting, just all around, all the way people are using it.
Yeah, well, Trevon, I love that, and it's been a pleasure. Why getting to know you, and this is why we wanted to feature you because you're doing real great work. And so, for folks interested, reach out to Trevon. He's easy to talk to, and as you can tell, he's very excited about what they're building. So, thank you for your time. Appreciate you.
Absolutely, man. Thank you for having me.